Hello, Jeff here again from Hanging by the Moments. Just want to make this quick video. I say quick, it's going to be kind of a walkthrough, kind of show you a process that I've gotten a lot of questions about. I've been making these little dishes like this. They're I call them catch-all trays, but there's a design in the bottom and pocket cut out. I get a lot of people asking for this design, and I'll show you how I do it, generally speaking. But as far as like my design, contact me if you really want that. But I think after you see how I do this and the software that I use for it, you're going to find that it's really not as difficult as what you think it would be. Should be a pretty short video. I'll kind of walk you through it, show you how I do these kind of things, and then realistically I can cut out 3 or 4 of these within an hour. It doesn't take long at all, using special bits, and that is one thing I want to talk about before we go over. You'll hear me refer to different bits. One of the bits that I use is this bit right here. It's called a dish bit, and that dish bit is a 0.75. This is a white side. Yeah, it's a white side brand dish bit. Excellent. Got to watch your feeds and speeds on this one though. And then I just use like a regular carbide 90-degree bit for the engraving, and in the outside pocket I'm cut with a compression 1/8 inch bit. Those are the 3 bits I use. A little bit of detail in that, but we'll get into that as we actually get into designing this thing up. I will be using the software easel to do this, and I've actually cut these specific things using easel and my Onefinity. All you have to do is export the G code from easel and Onefinity. If you go to do this, you will have to have Easel Pro, which is like $19 a month, but we can have this thing drawn up in, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes tops. Maybe way faster than that if you already have your design set out. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's see what we got going on. Alright, so I have easel up and running, and let's just go ahead and get started. Set my wood up as walnut, 12 inches by 8 inches by 0.75. That sounds pretty good. So, and I'm going to just use clip art that's already in easel for this. So I'm going to go right here to where it says Pro Design Library and click on that, and let's just look up dogs. That sounds like a good thing. Actually, let's just use this little owl right here. That looks like a pretty neat little design. Let's just do it this way for sake of things. And then what I like to do a lot of times is I'll just join all those together so that they're one big design. And let's go ahead and make this, lock that shape, and let's make it about 7 inches wide. Why not? We got 8 inches worth of material. Ooh, that's 70 inches. Let's change that back. 7 inches wide. Cut settings. We're going to do a pocket fill. Yep, that'll work. Alright, so what we want to do first is we want to grab this. And what I like to do is we'll go here to where it says apps right there. And if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see this little tool right here called Offsetter. Grab that and don't keep the original and import. And then you can just drag this over here all we really want is that outside piece. And so you can, right there, you just want to drag that out. And then delete that. And then what I normally do, well, I'll just duplicate that again, or do an offset on that again by going back down here. Scroll down to offset. And I'll keep the original on this because it kind of keeps that spacing pretty neat. And then you can go back right here and delete that. And then usually do like a Control A and center things up and move things to 0, 0. Yep. And then I usually will grab everything and we'll set a cut depth of like 0.125. That should work. 125. Why not? And then these two outside lines, I'll actually bring them on up. It doesn't really matter where you set them, so long as you can see them in this. And I just bring them something like that, so you can see both of them. And that's your basic design. And what I'll do is I'll go down here and I'll rename this. We'll rename it Owl Tray. And then what we'll do from there is we're just going to go back down here and hit this little arrow, and we're going to duplicate that. And then we're going to do that again. And then we're going to do that one more time. And what I normally do at this point is I'll go in and I'll rename all these, and I'll do them in order. So this one is going to be Owl Tray Pocket. And then do 0.0.75 dish. And that lets me know what bit I'm going to use. Rename that. Do the next one and rename it to engrave. And of course 90° vbit. Rename it. And then the last one down here, we're going to rename it. It's going to be the profile. And we're going to use a 0.125 endmill. We'll call it compression, because that's what I want to actually use. So that tells me what I intend to use for my bits when I go to load these files. Alright, go back to this second slide right here. I call it a slide, but it's a design pattern which generates a toolpath. So what you'll want to do here is this inside owl design right here. We want to delete that, and we want to delete that outer line right there, and only leave that inner line. Then we'll come over here to our bit, and we're going to go down to where it says other, and we're going to change that to a 0.75. And when you hit enter on that, it's going to give you an error over here. You just click out of that. And then we're going to go back into cut settings over here. And we're going to go to manual. And I usually change this depth per pass to like 0.05. Should be pretty good. And usually on this feed rate, I want that feed rate to be really high because we're going to be cutting a whole pocket out. And so we'll go we'll go at about 250, something like that. My Winfinity won't have any problem with that. Your machine might want to go a little bit slower, but the faster I can go, because we're not taking a whole lot of material off. It's not like we're going down a quarter of an inch and trying to gouge through that. Only taking 0.05 off at a time, so it's barely skimming the surface. It's not going to take that long. And you'll see why I use that 0.05 here in a second. So with those bits, then we come back over here to this side, and we want to change this cut depth to 0.41. And the reason I use 0.41 is because if I'm going down 0.05 each increment and I'm going down to 0.41, my last pass is only going to be 100,000th of an inch. So it's going to give me a nice, smooth, flat surface to be done with. Does that make sense to everybody? That last pass is really smooth. And you can play with that cut depth over there and really get up in there, but you have to calculate your total depth too. And we want this to be a pocket cut. And then the other thing you have to do to give you a good, nice, smooth surface that won't require a lot of sanding. In fact, I don't sand the bottom of these. I use like a little nylon brush to clean out all my grooves, and generally don't have to sand, if much at all, the pocket. And the way you fix that is in this step over right here. So I kind of skimmed over that. Go up here to machine, go to general settings, and then step over. I usually use 10%. That usually is pretty good. You can go 5% if you want to do that, but it's going to take longer. And then just kind of click over here to the side. Then we can go on to our next page down here and click on it. And of course it's going to be the engraving, so you want to do away with that outside. And you want to do away with that outside. It's a 90-degree V-bit, which is what we already chose. And this is very, very, very critical here. So when we go to set this up and we go to actually carve this out, you want to zero onto the bottom, the inside of that pocket. Not on the top of your workpiece, but where the pocket is. So you cut the pocket first, and then you'll zero down inside that pocket. One thing you have to adjust for then is go up here to machine and go back to general settings. And see this safety height? I've already got it set to 0.7 here, but I usually take this back up to close to my top end. We know we're going like 0.41 inches down into it, so I could go away with using like a 1/2 inch safety height. I generally go over a little bit. It doesn't take that much longer, so you can set that to 0.7. And that one's set to 0.7. I'm not sure why, but anyway. And that finishes slide 2, and then you go on to slide or toolpath number 2, and you go to 3, which is down here, and you're going to kind of do the same thing as before. You're going to do away with the delete now, and the inner side, you're going to select that. You're going to change the bit to an 1/8 inch. And then take that 1/8 inch and bring it all the way down to the bottom. If you're not using two-sided tape or the CA glue and painter's tape method, you might want to leave tabs. I generally do not leave tabs, and I generally like to cut either on the line or outside the line. And we'll just do outside. Gives me a little bit thicker piece. It's entirely up to you. And when you cut this profile out, you will actually go back and zero on that top depth. So that's the things to remember as you come through here. You'll cut the pocket first, then you'll cut the design second, you'll engrave the design, and you have to zero inside the pocket and set that safety height. Those two things are very critical. That safety height right there, that's very, very, very critical. Alright, and then you go and cut the profile path out. Now if you don't have your computer connected and use an easel to control it, you can still generate all this G-code. I've generated tons of it from easel and used it on my Winfinity. It's no big issue at all. One thing that does help is by naming these tool paths down here, by naming all of them, that makes it a whole lot easier for you. So you can come in here, select this one, go up here to where it says machine, go back to where we were where it says general settings. See this little button right here? It says download G-code. You click that, it's going to generate the G-code for you. It's going to put it into your download file, and there it is. You just have to go through and do it for all three of them. Go back to general settings, download G-code. And from that point, once you generate all three of those, you're ready to go. I mean, it's that simple. You're essentially just making outlines, and then you're re-zeroing inside the pocket for your design. And you can do this with any SVG that you input, any JPEG, bitmap, they'll all work. You just have to play a little bit with that outlining design on that, and that's how you handle that kind of stuff. Really not that big a deal. I mean, these little trays, it's a matter of making a couple offset patterns and using the right bits. Remember, this bit you have to go kind of fast with. The V-bit, you got to make sure and set that safety height. That safety height is very critical in this kind of project. But then you'll be able to turn out these all day long. You know, I've made several of them. I like making them out of this walnut. I actually have this one. This is made out of hard maple or rock maple. And then I have some over here that I made out of some surplus cutting board. Actually butcher block countertop. So I actually made these out of butcher block countertops. So you can use pretty much any material. It's really straightforward. It's not that complicated. If you got any questions, hit me up. Thank you for watching the video. You know, I'll go ahead and do my little promotion. Subscribe, like, share with people, share your thoughts, and hey, I'll see y'all next time.